I had a plumber guy. This was my best call. I had a plumber guy. He said, "This is an SEO thing, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, I'm just trying to send you some helpful info if you want to use it yourself." And he went on like probably a minute and a half of just cussing me out about he's been screwed over, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, basically at the end, "So F you know I'm not interested," and hung up. And I was like, that is what I was never wanting to encounter, but now I'm not worried about it again.
The universe is going to bring you shit when you're committed. The second your conscious mind starts talking to your subconscious mind, and Kyle, I don't know if this is like it for you, but I know when I first started doing this shit, and I was doing it every single day with Ren Taylor and Calvin Burkhart, and we were like hitting it super hard every fucking day, I'd go to sleep and I'd dream about the shit. And then I'd wake up and be like, oh shit, I should have closed it like that the next day, right? So my conscious mind is feeding my subconscious mind. I'm dreaming about the shit and waking up ready to go at it again, right? And so I'm sure you had a little bit of that as well.
Yeah. I mean, it was everything for the past. I mean, it was 7 weeks of, like, the first week was like, man, this is going to be a lot more than I expected. And then from there to the end was like, holy frick, 16 hours a day, pretty much. I mean, it was four to 5 hours of cold calling for me because I apparently suck at that. So to get my 10 yeses, it was rough. But yeah, I mean, I go to sleep like, okay, how can I make this better? Have nightmares of people hanging up on me, and then wake up. And I had a plumber guy. This was my best call. I had a plumber guy. He said, "This is an SEO thing, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, I'm just trying to send you some helpful info if you want to use it yourself." And he went on like probably a minute and a half of just cussing me out about he's been screwed over, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, basically at the end, "So F you know I'm not interested," and hung up. And I was like, that is what I was never wanting to encounter, but now I'm not worried about it again.
Yeah, that's rough. Oh, that's rough. Yeah, so you end up going through that, and then what are some, so that's a hard cold call that you had. What are some other things, obviously, that you went through during SOSA, during the 6 steps, following the process? What are some other things that you went through that were kind of rough, but once you got through them, you felt a lot better?
I think for me, the thing I've struggled with the most was pricing. And so thanks so much for that video. But I mean, I built out my first proposal and I probably spent 10 hours at least on it, trying to figure out how to price it and do all that stuff. And I just basically at the end, kind of the same thing, was like, well, I hope it's right. Jump, went for it.
I hope it's good. Let's go. Okay, so pricing was a big one. How are you on your deep dives? How is it? I know for me, like when I first got into deep dives, because like I learned so many new skill sets, right? I just wanted to talk about them. And so I would do most of the talking when I got into deep dives, and I had to learn how to shut up and just listen, you know what I mean? Ask the right questions. So how was it going through deep dives for you?
Yeah, my first one, I'm very much the same way. Like I want to just like, I like to cut people off or like jump to what they're thinking. And so it was so hard for me to just like, shut up. Luckily it wasn't on a video because I was like, shut up. And then I had a Simon script for every single one, just kind of like, okay, what's the next question I can ask them to get back on track? Because the very, very first one I had was a lady, I was on the phone for like an hour and a half. She was telling me her whole life story, and I was like, all right, so how many jobs are you wanting after like an hour? And then she's like, oh, I haven't thought about that. I was like, have you thought about any of the directions you want to go? No, not really. And so I was like an hour and a half that I wasted, but I was like, hey, whatever. It was a good warm up.
Yeah, so, yeah, absolutely. And that's the mindset. That's what people don't get yet, is once you're committed, then like, you know how you just said that right there? You're like, hey, that was a good warm up, right? And like you took it as, how can I pull knowledge from this and move on to the next and learn and move on to the next? That's where commitment comes in, guys. Because if you're not committed to the process, if you're not committed to yourself, if you're not committed to make it work, then you could take that same phone call that Kyle was just talking about on that deep dive, and you could have went, oh, that sucked. I'm not doing that again, right? And not continued with the process. So I think commitment is so big. Having that commitment that you are going to make this work, that you are going to stick it out, that you are going to put it in the work, right? Because if you can be committed, then everything is a learning experience for you, and you move through those things a lot faster, right? I know, like me back in the day, making cold calls like for my moving company, because I used to buy fucking leads off of movers.com, which is like the home advisor for moving companies. And you had to share the leads with 5 people, and making those calls and getting those people that are like, I already talked to somebody, and hanging up on me. Dude, that first time I got something like that, I set the phone down and I was like, I don't think I should buy any more of these fucking leads. This is hardcore, right? And I had to force myself to go, you know what? No, pick up the phone. You got to go land some of these deals, or your guys are just going to be sitting around. Your dream is going to go to waste. And I had to commit to overcome that. So, but that commitment allowed me to keep going, allowed me to get told, fuck off, allowed me to learn lessons through the process, to create my own, right? Something I'm comfortable with, something that works for me, right? And that's what you've been able to do. I'm super excited for you and excited for your growth.